After that, they should actually move back.
It's okay. That's all right. It's all right now. Let's proceed. Reach the bridge.
Okay, sir.
Then we know how to cross it.
My Lord, sir, I can assure my learned friend, sir. I can assure my learned friend.
Lawyers talk too much. Don't worry. I know why you assure your learned
I
friend.
just want to assure him, sir.
It's all right. Swear him in first. Let's make progress.
I, Olusegun Obasanjo, do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before this honorable commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Now, I usually give the witness an option to sit if he likes or to stand. So you are at liberty to sit or to stand.
I will stand.
Your Excellency, you were the head of state, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, as well as the Minister of Defense of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between February 1976 and September 1979. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, you are right.
Thank you. Having read the petition of the Kuti family before this August Commission, can you recall the events of the 17th of February 1977 as related to the incident on the basis of which this petition was written?
No.
Okay. Now, Mr. President, on that day, if I may refresh Your Excellency's memory, the members of the Security Council, of which you were the chairman, held a security meeting. Can you recall that, sir?
No. It is the member of Federal Executive Council
that met that day.
that met.
Very good.
Not Security Council.
Very good. Now, a report was said to have been made while that meeting was holding, that Fela was at it again. Can you recall that?
I cannot.
Okay. Please show Mr. President the petition of Dr. Belkoransom Kuti, please.
Is that exhibit 1?
Yes, sir, the advertorial. The advertorial. That's appendix 4. Appendix 4. That is the advertorial. By Major H.H. Ejokolo. Page 31. Yes, sir. Now, that is an advertorial by one Major M.H. Jokolo, retired. Does Your Excellency know Major Jokolo?
Yes, I do.
I'll be correct in suggesting that he's the present Emir of Gwandu. Is that correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Now, by 1977, sir, will you know the position he was holding?
He was ADC to Major General Shehu Yaradua. ADC. ADCAM.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, in an advertorial placed by him in the Citizen magazine of November 9, 1992, he had this to say That is at page 41 to 42 of that magazine. To the effect, sir, that a meeting of the Security Council was holding on that day, and that while that meeting was holding, General Danjuma stormed out of that meeting to give this instruction: go get me that stupid fella, dead or alive. He went back to their meeting. That is the meeting he alleged you were presiding over. His orders were clear but directed at actually none in particular. That's among the ADCs. We all look at each other in stunning silence. I made the first move by volunteering to go. The ADC to Commander-in-Chief, that is Your Excellency's ADC at the material time, stated that I should not go because I could easily be recognized. So the ADC to Brigadier Garba, who also was his younger brother, Lieutenant Sunday Garba, was directed to take his platoon from Brigade of Guards Defense Company to go and get Fela. Sunday narrated to us what happened when he came back. He told us that on getting to Fela's house, it was locked and electrified. He shouted for Fela to come out, but was ignored. They got NEPA to switch off the light, but Fela switched on his generator. So the only course open for them was to blast the generator to gain access into the house. When they entered Fela's house, they ransacked the place and beat up everybody, including Fela's old mother, who was thrown out of the window. They were all arrested. We congratulated him for successfully accomplishing his mission. He went on, sir. Some days later, there was a public uproar, and people were so disgusted with the way Fela, his mother, younger brother Beko, and his troop were brutalized and his house vandalized. They asked for a judicial commission of inquiry. Rather, a two-man administrative commission of inquiry was set up with clear mandate to pass the verdict of unknown soldier, and Fela's property was confiscated. He was to be compensated, though it was believed he would never agree to that, and so on and so forth, sir. Now, what is your reaction, sir, to this detailed, just a minute, to this detailed account of one of your officers?
Excuse me, please. I hate a counsel reading document and leaving that part which does not favor him. Please ask him to continue for the next few pages where they said General Obasanjo knew nothing about it. Read it out.
In the same document?
It's in the same document.
I'm coming down. My Lord, sir, if my learned friend, Chief Abibala, will allow me to finish.
Please.
I'm in charge of this, of my own case, sir.
Yeah.
And I can assure him.
You are in charge of your case, and you want an answer.
No, just
this is so detailed. First of all, with all due respect, knowing General Yakubu Danjuma, who was the chief of staff, army, he will not just go out, if that is the case, and just shout to people, to nobody, and say, go and get me that bloody man, Fela, dead or alive. That is not,
so it is not
Yakubu Danjuma.
Yes, thank you very much.
Please, 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 please. But if you believe that Yakubu Danjuma said that, he did not say that because anybody gave him that instruction.
Thank you very much.
But he's alive, and you can find out from him.
Thank you very much.
Now let me go on again. You said that Jokolo even gave you chapters and verses. The names he mentioned are alive. I think if you want to find out the fact, my own conclusion will be that this is probably a tissue of fabrications. Probably a tissue of fabrications. But if you want to find out the fact, call those people. They are alive, and they will tell you.
Thank you very much. We've already applied that they be summoned. Now, Mr. President, please listen further. That was how Nigeria's greatest musician was broken until now. He has not recovered. While Fela was ignorantly accusing Obasanjo and Yaradua for perpetrating this dastardly act, the real brain behind it was none other than T.Y. Danjuma. I'm sure my learned friend would like that. Fela was lucky.
That's the point I was making, sir.
Yes.
I couldn't have, excuse me, should I have stopped there? If you invite this head of state to testify, if you find anything favorable to him, it's only fair and professionally right to read it out. The same person who says Danjuma said so also said in clear language, Obasanjo was being accused ignorantly. So what more? Why is he here then?
My Lord, I asked for the permission of the commission to conduct my case, not the way the SCN will want it. General.
Go ahead.
Yes. Now, thank you very much. While Fela was ignorantly accusing, well, I've done that. Surprisingly, Danjuma, even as COAS, Chief of Army Staff, was frequently visiting Fela's shrine. What in the world was the big deal about Fela calling his shrine Kalakuta Republic? He was ordered never to mention Kalakuta Republic. Now, Mr. President, are you aware that apart from the soldiers from Abati Barracks, soldiers from the Brigade of Guards also took part in the operation that led to the destruction of Fela's house on that day?
I wouldn't know.
Now, have a look at the report, please. That was tendered this morning, the Kalakuta report. Page 36. Paragraph 13, sir. The first two sentences there. At about 7:20 hours, an IS platoon from the Brigade of Guards arrived at the scene of the incident via Central Vehicle Depot through Camp 4 Infantry Division Gate, where they met the garrison command, commander, I guess, who briefed their PL command about the situation, categorically stating that troops would not be necessary for them to open fire, but to reinforce the Kondoni troops around Fela's residence. If you also go to page 40, Mr. President, of that report, can you see that, sir?
Yes.
It is also there, paragraph 11. By 7:20 hours, a platoon of body of guards troops, led by a lieutenant, met me near the scene, and I briefed them of the situation, warning them not to fire since we have armed troops dealing with the situation and also some police and soldiers making arrests from room to room inside Fela's residence. With this report, Mr. President, which has been tendered by your the learned senior advocate this morning, you will agree with me that apart from soldiers from Abati barracks, soldiers from the Brigade of Guards also took part in the operation around Fela's house, died from the record.
Well, what normally happens is when you have what we call an IS situation, that is internal security, you have special troops detailed from special units, and they have their responsibilities. And the troop from Brigade of Guards going out at 17:20 hours on an event that started or began at what time?
In the afternoon.
At what time? At what time?
About 1 o'clock.
at 1 o'clock.
They were all amassing.
You see that it cannot be really a part of the what you call the operation.
Yes.
It is the normal IS standard operation.
So Your Excellency does not agree with the finding of the administrative inquiry that soldiers from the Brigade of Guards took part in that operation?
No, I do not say. I say soldiers from Brigade of Guards did not take part because what you call taking part had already happened.
Yes.
But when you have a situation of IS, you have how the military operate. And then the soldiers that went out from Brigade of Guards are meant to do what we call showing the flag.
Thank you very much. Now, the point I'm making, Mr. President, is that there is this allegation by Jokolo that an ADC Garba got instructions from General Danjuma and came down to Agege Motor Road, all the way from Dodon Barracks, moved the Brigade of Guards down, and he is alleging that the Brigade of Guards took part. This has been confirmed by the Kanluanya report. Because it took several hours. The attempt to arrest, to invade the house, the burning of the house, the arrest of 55 people according to the report. And in fact, many of them were taken to different army barracks. So the operation took hours.
Who are they arrested by?
They were arrested by soldiers and members of the police who were around.
Okay.
Yes.
And according to this report, the soldiers of Abalti Barracks and the police, even when the soldiers from Brigade of Guard got there, who were on show of flag,
Yes.
they were told not to participate. That is what this
That they
report
should
is.
stand by, and watch development. In other words, by showing of flag,
Yes.
they took part in the operation.
Okay.
Yes, there was war situation.
If that is what you want to say, yes, they took part in the operation.
Yes, sir.
To the extent that they show of flag is part of operation.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. If they have gone out, yes, they should. To that extent, you can say they should. They took part in the operation.
Thank you very much. Now, the federal military government, headed by Your Excellency at the material time, did ask the Lagos state government to investigate this incident. Is that correct, sir?
No, that's Lagos state government does that normally.
Okay, sir.
Normally, when there is a situation in a state, it depends whether the inquiry will be done by the federal or by the state. Yes.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's done by the state.
Yes. Before this particular incident, army civilian clashes at Ugeb, Kano, Oshodi, and other places were normally investigated by the federal military government. Can Your Excellency recall that?
No, that's what I've just told you.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
There's no hard and fast rule about
Very
it.
good. Now, in this particular instance, the report did say that the house and all the violations that took place that day were perpetrated by an unknown soldier. Yes. Are you aware, sir?
Well, if you cannot identify a soldier, then it's to the man who is writing the report is unknown.
Very good, sir.
It's a soldier that you can identify that is known.
Thank you very much. Now, the distinguished senior advocate attended the judgment of the Supreme Court this morning. And I just want to read page 21 of that report to you. And this is by the Honorable Justice Kayode Esho, who read the lead judgment. I have
Is
checked
that a majority judgment or minority
It was
judgment?
unanimous, sir.
Okay,
Majority.
all right.
I have checked all our constitutions prior to 1979, And regrettably, I'm not able to find any provision which one could apply, even remotely, but rightly, in an annulment of this doctrine. The court is to administer law as it is, and not as it ought to be. This immunity attaching to the state in this country is bad. For the learned trial judge who took evidence described the scene that day as hell let loose. And this he had set out in his analysis of the evidence. Said he said, it is beyond dispute, of course, that many soldiers, a witness gave the figure of 1,000, surrounded the entire buildings, hurling stones and broken bottles. Many of them got inside the building, set fire to it, as well as the generator in the compound. Unquote. Esho, continue. This is bad. It should not be right that once the actual perpetrators could not be determined, the state, whose soldiers these perpetrators are, could not be made liable. Now, to your knowledge, Mr. President, was any soldier made liable for the violation, for the activity that took place on that day? To your knowledge, Mr. President.
The soldiers were taken to court. And you took them to court because you want to make them liable.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Should there be double punishment?
No, sir. Now,
okay.
Mr. President, what happened to them?
Well, I should ask you what happened to them in court.
Well, Mr. President, you are not in a position to ask me questions. You are answer my own questions.
Yeah, well, I'm answering your question by asking you questions.
Hold it.
No.
I think
He's saying that what happened in court is a notorious fact.
No, I'm asking of
what happened to them means what happened to in court.
No, told the soldiers.
In court.
yes.
They were taken to court.
They were taken to court.
What happened, you should know because the reports are there.
No, sir. I'm suggesting, sir. I'm asking the witness. If he doesn't know, he will say he doesn't know.
There are certain things
but
you
I
don't
think
need
it should be allowed.
There are certain things you don't need evidence. One is notorious facts.
Okay.
Two is something that is already in court.
I take the
With
hint.
the report is there.
I take the hint, sir.
So you should know.
I take the hint. Mr. President, you will agree with me that none of the soldiers, none was punished for his role in that incident because they were simply described as unknown soldiers.
Well, if you take them, because you must be able to have been able to identify them and identify their role. That's why you have taken them to court. And if you have taken them to court, and the court, the law and the process takes its course, then what else do you want me to do?
Thank you very much. The court, Mr. President, from the evidence before this tribunal, did not say that the perpetrators should not be punished. What the court did say was that they were acting for the king and that the king can do no wrong, not that they did not commit tortious acts. In other words, the court has found that these were agents of the state under the doctrine of immunity attaching to the state at the material time. We cannot punish them. I'm asking Mr. President, apart from Fela suing them by taking them to court, did the military authorities, headed by Your Excellency, bring any of the soldiers to book?
That will not be done by me as Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much.
It will be done by the unit commanders.
Are you aware if this was done by the brigade commander, Mr. President?
They don't have to report that to me.
Now, please listen to what my Lord Justice Oputa said in that judgment. This is but a vestige, albeit colonial, of the ancient legal fiction expressed in the maxim, Rex non potest peccare, the king can do no wrong. Thus, King Manelus of Sparta was able to say, when a king takes spoils, he robs no one, when a king kills, he commits no murder, he only fulfills justice, end of quote. The position in England has radically changed since 1948. The Crown Proceedings Act of 1947, which came into force on 1st January 1948, the Crown can now be sued in England for the tort of his servants. Mr. President, the king at the material time of the state at the material time was Your Excellency.
If that was the law, that was the law. I did not make the law.
Thank you very much.
All right?
Thank you.
And today, if I believe that the king can never do wrong, I wouldn't be here.
Thank you very much, Mr.
All right.
President. Thank you very much. Mr. President, have a look at...
So, and I believe that law is dynamic.
I agree with you.
If in what year are we talking?
1977.
If in 1977, there are parts of our law that colonial, then today maybe we need to amend them if we haven't amended them.
In fact, Mr. President, I want to, at this juncture, commend Your Excellency for setting up this commission of inquiry.
I don't need to be commended. Now you do your job. Now I am doing my job as I believe I should do it.
Thank you very much.
Do yours as you should do it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That's what I'm doing, Mr. President.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Go on doing yours.
Acknowledging the fact that in spite of the immunity attached to the state at the material time, opportunities have been made available to Nigerians through the government headed by Your Excellency to bring petitions of this nature. Now, I take you to Exhibit 4, again tendered this morning by your solicitor. Please, let Mr. President have a look at Exhibit 4. That is a memo from the Lagos State government.
What verse, what paragraph?
Paragraph 4, the last 1 and 2, items 1 and 2 there.
Subject to the satisfactory proof of loss, innocent victims should either be fully compensated or be given a reasonable amount as ex gratia award. By innocent victims, I am referring to residents around 14A Agege Muto Road and passers-by like Kayode Sami, who lost an eye during the incident. 2. As for the residents of 14A Agege Muto Road, one can easily make a case for compensation in respect of the loss suffered by Dr. Fela Kuti. One will have said the same thing for the result of the inmate if the findings of the panel have been that the building was set ablaze deliberately.
Yes. Mr. President, that memo was sent to Your Excellency.
No.
Okay, maybe it's not correct because that was the impression given earlier.
No, then your impression is wrong.
No, it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
It was
no.
Your learned counsel that said
no,
that.
the Lagos State memo, council memo is Lagos State council memo.
Thank you very much.
It's not. It doesn't come to federal government.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
And federal government memo doesn't go to any state.
Thank you very much, Mr.
All
President.
right. You want your paper back?
Yes.
Have it now.
Mr. President, from the portion you have just read,
Yeah.
it was the view of the Lagos State government that Dr. Fela Kuti and other victims of the atrocity perpetrated that day be compensated.
Well, it is also, if that is the view, and Lagos State government has set up a commission of inquiry, and it has a white paper on it, and a memo on it, then it should implement it.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. President, it's in the petition before this commission of inquiry that on that day, apart from the several arrests that were made, the burning of Fela's house or the family house, their 77-year-old mother at the material time was thrown out of the window and died shortly thereafter. Dr. Fela Kuti lost his clinic and some cars in that incident. Will Your Excellency agree with me that all those who sustain losses on that day be compensated, unknown soldier or no unknown soldier?
Who by?
By the Nigerian state, whose soldiers these perpetrators were, according to the Supreme Court.
No, that is not the finding of the inquiry, and that was not what was in the inquiry's report. If Lagos State government, in its own memo to its council, wants to do that, it's free to do that.
Mr. President, 2 months after this finding of unknown soldier,
yes,
the presiding chairman, Justice Kalwanya, was appointed the Chief Judge of Borno State by the federal military government, headed by Your Excellency. Is that correct?
No, normally it will be recommended.
Yes, it was recommended to Your Excellency.
Yes.
And it was appointed.
Yes, if it's recommended to me, I will have appointed him.
Will you agree that it was a compensation for the job well done?
I will not agree because I will not agree because I wouldn't have been the one to recommend him.
No, that's an insult to the judiciary.
And yes, and I will want to say that not only to the judiciary but also to me. And I will not please the honorable commission. I will not stand here and be insulted, because if you say that, then you say that I'm bribing, and I will not take kindly to that.
Mr. President,
and please, and honorable commission, if you cannot give defense that I believe is necessary, then I will have to reconsider my stand in this witness box. I will not subject myself to be insulted, no matter by who.
Mr. President, you have already answered the question. We don't need to fight over it.
You shouldn't have answered the question in the first instance.
My Lord, I have the right to ask the question,
No,
If Your Lordship...
My Lord, I have said earlier, by way of preamble, that I would not stand here and allow scandalous, annoying, and insulting questions to be asked of my witness.
Let me help. Let me help. Let me just clear a point. In fact, I happen to know as a fact that the government that appointed... Excuse me.
Please, just be quiet and listen to the witnesses, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to clear the point. I think, to the best of my knowledge, I practice in Maiduguri, and it was the government of Mohamed Goni that appointed Carlo Anya, I think, as the Chief Judge of Borno State. That I know.
No, sir. It was the government of Mohamed Goni that removed him through the House of Assembly. And just a minute, sir.
No.
When he was dismissed, he filed an action challenging his dismissal and put it before himself and made an order that his removal was illegal.
I was a party to the action.
Thank you very much.
But he was appointed by Mohamed Goni as Chief Judge of Borno State.
Well, I think we have our own facts that are different from yours. But you will also agree with me that he was appointed at that time. But the president has already said he will not bribe anybody. And I think we'll leave it at that.
No, I don't think...
No, I think what I said must be right, and you must quote me right. I said if I have appointed him, he will have been recommended. Because how many people did I appoint that I will remember now? So if I have appointed him, he will have been recommended. And based on the recommendation, I appointed him. Now, if I have appointed him, but here you are getting somebody who say it may not have even been me who appointed him.
My Lord,
it's his word against yours.
My Lord, sir, there is a more fundamental issue. And counsel generally say, do not take notice of this important point in whether we are before a tribunal or before a trial court. Say. It is this, that a counsel must have firm ground, truthful ground, for any question is asked. And that's why the Evidence Act went on, sir, to say that where counsel asks a question, which he knows he has no basis for, he should be reported to the Attorney General. Very few people ever do this. But as an author on Evidence Act, I will tell you what it is. If, sir, the cause of the opinion that any such question was asked without reasonable grounds, it may, if it was asked by any legal practitioner, report the circumstance of the case to the AG or other authority to which such legal practitioner is subject in the exercise of his profession. In other words, sir, you come and ask a question, sir, about a matter, the basis of you don't know. Lord, the Lordship is reading, sir. I don't know whether your Lordship is with me.
Go on, I'm listening to you.
The Honorable Commissioner on your right, sir, has now given the factual basis for that appointment. In other words, that question was asked without factual basis. It's not done. It's not right. And I would demand that my learned friend should not only withdraw that question and apologize, sir, to His Excellency.
But you admit that you should have raised an objection. And then we ruled. You didn't. I had to do it without your objection. I said the question was in bad taste. And there are limits. He said it's cross-examination. There are limits to cross-examination. I hope Mr. Fela admits that there are limits to cross-examination.
I agree with your Lordship.
Exactly. It's only when you are cross-examined as to credit that the sky is the limit. So if you do, the facts on which you base the allegation, where are they?
My Lord.
Speculation.
My Lord.
So let's move forward.
My Lord, perhaps more
Let's move forward.
My Lord, I think it's necessary for me to intervene, sir, to clarify that.
Why ask the question?
No, I did not set out
that he was rewarded because.
My Lord, I'm going to get the facts surrounding that appointment, the time of the appointment.
Did you hear that he was recommended? It was a man who recommended him that you would ask.
I have agreed with that when Mr. President gave that answer, sir. And I am saying that if I come to facts other than the one I've suggested to the President, different from the one I've suggested, I will apologize appropriately. That's what I'm saying. Mr. President, sir, Your Excellency had cause to enact the land use decree.
Yes.
Now, that has nothing to do with Fela's case.
Let me just lay the basis.
No. What has that got to do with?
I'm coming to that, sir. My learned friend has now helped me by objecting at the right time. Now, Fela's house was acquired compulsorily.
Under the land use decree.
And under the land use decree, because we had the land use decree at the material time.
By Lagos State government?
My Lord.
By the President?
By the government of Lagos State, which was a part of the federal military government. It was a unitary system, sir.
Now you are wrong. We have, since the time of Ironsi, we have not run a unitary system of government in this country. We have not run a unitary system of government in this country after Ironsi.
Mr. President, I'm not even sure Chief Abalala will agree with you on that point, Your Excellency. But that is politics, which I won't go into. But I just want to suggest, Mr. President, that the Kuti family lost everything, including their land, the house. Forget whether we are talking of a non-soldier or not. Mr. President, don't you think they deserve to be compensated, as it is always done in all cases where the landed properties of anybody have been acquired?
Well, that is between the Kuti family and those who acquire the and those who acquire the land.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Pardon? Pardon?
I said thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
That is all for this witness.
Thank you. Any re-examination? Any re-examination? Oh, was their client mentioned?
Is my lord shutting me out of the...
No. We agreed before we started that we already cross-examined Beko, the petitioner.
That was not my understanding, my lord. And with the greatest...
Well, if you tell me what was said in the petition, that connects the witness, then I will allow you to cross-examine him. But if you just open wide every other, because you were here when I read out that cross-examination should be limited to issues arising from the petition. So if you point out to me the issue on which you want to cross-examine, of course you will, that relate to your client.
I'm surprised, my Lord, is...
Don't be surprised. That's what we agreed, that I read it out this morning.
My agreement was that I have cross-examined Dr. Fela Kuti. With the greatest respect, my Lord, human rights abuse is not an abstract matter. My Lord, the good intention...
Don't make speeches. No. Show me the portion of the petition that relates to your client, which he can throw light on. Then we allow you to cross-examine. But not just in the air.
Well, my Lord, I will take the hint that I will not be heard, with the greatest respect.
Sorry, let me just, as a layman, the issue here, when you cross-examine the allegations made by the petitioner and in relation to what Zachary Bill did to him. So if you want Dr. Beko back in the witness box, I think that's what you should do.
My Lord, I stand guided and I wish you well. That's what I'm saying. I'm
no, listen.
No, my Lord, it appears that at this stage of our hearing, we appear to take human rights violation as an abstract matter. It is not. It is connected with several other issues. If this incident had not happened, maybe Beko will not have mentioned the name of Zachary Biu to be here.
But the point
and my Lord knew that Zachary Biu himself testified in this matter.
What I'm saying is, I doubt that ACP Zachary was ACP in 1977.
Yes.
And, pardon, he was?
He wasn't. He wasn't ACP Zachary Biu.
That's why we're saying that the petition that is before us today is the petition submitted by Dr. Kuti.
Yes.
Now, your client was mentioned by Dr. Kuti in relation to what he allegedly did to him. And I'm just saying, unless, if you can convince us otherwise, fine, but I'm saying, as far as...
I said I will not cross-examine. Yes. That is all, my Lord. If that is okay.
May I please, my Lord, and honorable members of the commission, I'm not actually asking any question. But my Lord, I'm taking solace in the spirit of this commission and what my Lord has said earlier when I made the observation in relation to another petition in which Mr. President is interested. My Lord, I did say on that occasion that we did not have the opportunity to controvert the evidence of Mr. President, not because of our fault, but because we were not served. My Lord, if justice is to be done, if all the wounds are to be healed, if there should be fairness, my Lord, and if misconceptions are to be doused, my Lord, I will crave your Lordship indulgence, not that, in relation to petition 654 of Olusegun Obasanjo, as it relates to my client. If your Lordship that has the power to say that Mr. President should answer our questions on that petition now or at any other time, my Lord, I'll be grateful. That is my request, my Lord.
With your permission, sir, may I say something about that, sir? I think there's a gross misconception as to the issue that arose in Benga's petition and the issue is raising, sir. It was true as this presided, but the issue we're raising there was that the evidence led in that tribunal where he was convicted was based primarily on the evidence of one, what's the name now?
Fadile.
Fadile. And that Fadile would not have done so, but for the fact that he was under undue influence and so on and so forth. He came here to say, my evidence was false. Whether Azizi would have come to a different decision or not, it's immaterial now. That we said he gave a wrong decision. That's not the issue, sir. It is that there was no factual basis for his conviction because the man on whom...
Have I got jurisdiction to listen to another petition when I'm hearing one petition?
No, that's another matter.
Before me.
I don't want to listen to even
petition is not
at all.
Me. But they're not giving it all sort of horrible interpretation. It's not before me. When it's before me, then I'll hear it. What is before me is Bekoran Sankuti's petition.
With the greatest respect, my lord. In fact, all we are saying, if my learned SN is saying that we will never have the opportunity of putting our case, so be it. Let it be heard. In fact, that is what he's saying. He is saying that their case was based on the evidence of Fadile, and we are now being told that we cannot even cross-examine because one, I have obtained the transcript of the evidence of Gbenga, and one of, yes, my lord, I have. I know it's not in this petition. All I was asking is whether we will ever have the opportunity. But if we will not have it, my lord, I will bow.
This is not a matter we ought to disclose here, but I thought in confidence you met us in chamber, we discussed this matter. We rested the matter there.
As your lordship, please.
Yes, you know.
My lord, since this is our own petition...
I still say I don't know what the bar is becoming. If members of the bar met a judge in chambers and discussed, that should have been the end of it.
As a copy.
But I don't know what we have now as a bar.
My lord, we are finished with the witness, sir. We are not connected with Aziza or...
Well, you want to ask any questions? Counsel for the commission? As it refers to the petition of Ransom Kuti.
Just two, my lord. Just two questions.
All right.
Your Excellency, Dr. Ransom Kuti, and during his testimony before the commission, stated that, well, if I may quote him, that after the death of his mother, which he says was as a result of the fact that she was thrown downstairs when Kalakuta Republic was set on fire by the soldiers, allegedly set on fire by the soldiers. He said, despite General Obasanjo's insistence on justice, he did not submit himself to justice following that incident. My question is, were you ever required by anybody to submit yourself to any kind of justice following that incident?
Well, this is the first time that I will be called upon, and haven't been called upon now. I'm here. Well, I don't know what other justice, but I will want to say that those who ask for justice must not do injustice to others. Because that is always the case. And we have seen this, particularly in this particular case.
Thank you very much, sir. The petitioner also stated in the course of his testimony that what Nigeria, this may be a bit extraneous, but it's in evidence before the commission, that what Nigeria has now is civil rule and not democracy. Would you like to react to that assertion?
Well, you know, everybody defines things the way he likes. For instance, if you ask Beko to define God, even though he is the son of a reverend gentleman, he would define God differently from the way I would define God. That is his own way of defining God. So I don't think you should worry about that. What we have here in this country is democracy. So if to him is civil rule, so be it. But everybody knows that we have democracy. In fact, democracy that is being acclaimed all over the world.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My Lord, that will be all for the week.
Re-examined, if any.
My Lord, and all honorable members of the tribunal, we thank you for giving His Excellency this opportunity. I think
No examination?
Yes, there's none. I'm only saying that we thank you, sir, and I think the President has something to say in addition, sir.
Yes, that's what we were discussing on this side. Your Excellency, we are asking whether you are disposed to tell us anything. We are allowed to roam at large from this side. They are not allowed from the bar. If there's anything you want to tell or to give us or to testify to help the Commission to achieve the desired end, that is, with reference to our terms of reference, we'll gladly receive that evidence.
Well, Honorable Commission, and my Lord, I just want to reiterate that for me, and I believe for many Nigerians, this commission is a serious commission, established to do a serious job of establishing truth and forging reconciliation. It is not a commission to review the findings of past commissions of inquiry, or neither is it a higher appellate court. This commission must never, I repeat, never allow itself to be trivialized away from the purpose for which it is established. And that is, I repeat, to establish truth, secure remorse, and forge reconciliation and forgiveness as basis for peace and unity in our country. Your task is both a monumental one, and in a way, one can even say a divine one. And all I can say is that God Almighty may be with you and direct you as you confront this onerous task. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. You are now discharged.